Let me show you how you can optimize your YouTube channel. YouTube is absolutely the place to be if you want to get seen and get authority in your space. But so many people miss some key elements to help their YouTube stand out and give them that authority in the marketplace. So whether you're new to YouTube or you've got an existing brand already there, it's good to check over and make sure you've got some of these key elements in place. By the end of this video, you'll learn all the tips and tricks to help gain more views, look more professional, and ultimately lead them down the customer journey to generate more sales on the end of it. So let's look at optimizing your YouTube channel. So firstly, if you're new to YouTube and this is your first channel and you're setting it up from scratch, YouTube knows nothing about you, knows nothing about your content or your audience. So you need to feed it as much as possible. So take into consideration the keywords that you're going to use. Now, tag words are not as prevalent as they used to be. They used to be used a lot more in the algorithm. However, if you are a new channel, it is still best practice to use them because it's the only data YouTube has to go off to learn who you are and who the right audience is. The next thing you want to consider is the thumbnails. The thumbnails is what grabs people's attention in the first place. So it's not just about throwing up a pretty image and hoping that does all right. Actually, the thumbnail is one of the most important parts of your video. It's that first point of contact with an audience member. So it needs to grab their attention. It needs to tell them what the video is about before they watch it. It's this thumbnail which entices them to click on your content and watch it. You got to give them a promise. You got to let them know what's to come. There is a science behind putting together the perfect thumbnail, which I'll go into in another video. The next thing to think about is your title. Along with your thumbnail, this is probably the next most important part. Again, they go thumbnail first and then they look at the title, still provoking that intrigue to make them want to watch your content. Obviously, it's got to appeal to them, talk to their pain points. So the idea is we create curiosity and we give a promise that we will deliver on in the content later on. As with the description, it's good if you can include some searchable terms, some keywords that are relevant to the piece of content that you're giving, not so that it's clickbait and it's a complete lie, but so that you actually deliver on that content. By including these terms and keywords, it helps reach those who are searching for the problems that you're solving. Within the description itself, it's best practice to obviously have your social links in there somewhere. But also, whatever the call to action is, whatever's next on that customer journey, it's good to include that. I'd say somewhere near the top, so it's not difficult to get to. So those who are ready to take that next step in your customer journey, it's nice and easy for them to click into and move down that path. And finally, you also have your profile image and the cover banner. Now, once you get them in place, remember that this is representing your brand. So it needs to align with your brand, your messaging, your color schemes, and everything that you're about and the message that you portray. So these are best practices if you've just set up a channel from fresh, but if you have an existing channel, it's still good to go back, check these, do a little audit, and make sure everything's in place. Does the YouTube algorithm scare you? Let me show you how to tackle it. So let's talk about the algorithm. It's often something people shy away from. It can sound quite scary, it can sound quite complicated. There's an easy way to break it down. Don't think of the algorithm as this big complex system of who gets what and who gets shown what. Essentially, the algorithm is a recommendation system. The algorithm's job is to learn the behaviors of the viewer and learn which viewer your content speaks to. So it'll start to understand who your demographic is, who your psychographic is, what their behaviors are. Once you've pushed through that initial threshold, it will start recommending it out to lookalike audiences and grow your channel organically. So the takeaway essentially from this is make content for your audience, not for you. Otherwise, you risk attracting the wrong people. One common mistake that tends to happen here is we share content out with family and friends. Now, what this might end up doing is actually confusing the algorithm. If your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, your auntie, your uncle is not your market, they're not your target audience, and they end up on YouTube and they watch your videos, when the algorithm picks them up and creates a lookalike audience, you might end up with the wrong people. This is how a lot of people end up getting the wrong people watching their videos, and they don't get quality views that lead to quality leads. Let me show you the perfect length of a video and how often you should create. Video duration and frequency. How often should you post and how long should it be? You'll get many different answers from many different people. What I believe is that video should be as long as it is valuable. As long as it's giving information, as long as it's educating, as long as it's giving the core message of what you do, and it's valuable for the person watching it, the length ultimately doesn't matter because your audience will be invested in that content. The second you fill it with waffle and fluff, it might very well turn an audience member off and they'll leave the video. Now, a key thing to remember with videos on YouTube or actually any other platform now One of the main metrics that are measured is view duration. The longer you can keep on the video, the better. The more it will be shared, the more it will be rewarded by the platform. This is because it keeps the viewer on the platform, and that's their ultimate goal. Now, frequency. This can vary by the brand, the industry, the person, the network, or whatever you do for a living. But ultimately, as a general rule of thumb, you want to be visible in people's minds, and you want to keep your brand present so that when the time is right for them to take that next step, you're the front of mind. So we recommend once a week, show up, deliver value so that you're the first person they think about. Let me show you the top ways to drive engagement on your videos. We all know engagement is good for any platform. It shows people are interested in your content and really helps buff those algorithms up. We all know engagement is good. It doesn't matter what platform you're on, engagement really helps boost the algorithm. It shows people are interested in your content, willing to invest their time into watching it. So any tricks that you have in your arsenal are really worth utilizing. One trick is as simple as reply to the comments that you get. On YouTube, you can also give them a heart. A heart can only be given by the creator themselves, so it shows you've gone that one step further to interact with that comment. But by replying to them, you can create a conversation, and it just snowballs into more and more comments, more and more engagement. Naturally, not a lot of creators actually do engage with people. So again, it helps you stand out from the crowd if you are going back to those comments, addressing any questions they've got, or showing appreciation for thanks that they've put on that. A lesser known feature on YouTube is actually its community feature. Similar to other platforms, it does have a wall. You can put up polls and you can put up other things, and it is actually surprisingly largely used, but very underutilized by most creators. And the easiest one that you can do is during the content itself, as you get towards your call to action at the end, ask your audience a question, ask their opinion, ask for their thoughts, ask for feedback, ask for their experiences, ask them to put it in the comments below. Now that doubles up your engagement because when they do, you can reply to it. What data do you need to be tracking for YouTube success? And finally, let's look at the YouTube analytics. It sounds complicated, it looks complicated, but it really doesn't have to be. The first thing to remember is a common path that people go down is that I want X amount of subscribers, and they set their goals by subscribership. This is not a great tactic to have. YouTube themselves have come out and said that subscribers do not dictate the success of a channel, and they are not a metric to be measured by. Not only that, but the subscriber to viewer ratio is nearly always off. More subscribers does not mean more views. Often it ends up being the other way around. This can be seen more prevalently on some big YouTubers who often talk about 80, 90+% of their viewership is not subscribed to their channel, and they'll ask you to subscribe. Now, if those YouTubers who have the millions of views and millions of subscribers already still have a 90% non-subscribed rate, then it's not really a metric to track the success of your channel. The metric that you want to be looking for that I mentioned earlier is viewer retention. This allows you to see the drop-off point of where people moved away from your video. Now, naturally at the start of the video, we often see a drop. That's expected, but you want the drop to be as small as possible and still to have it. And then you want it to plateau out so that it maintains that viewership. The second it starts to drop off, you know where people have lost interest. One handy little thing that can happen here is you might actually see a spike in the video, which might seem a bit off that people are watching a section in the middle. This is a good indicator of people going back to a specific point where you may have spoke about a certain topic or answered a certain question or problem that they had. Use this information to go back in and go, can I go deeper on that content? Can I create more content in and around that subject matter? Because that is going to speak to the audience that I have. So that's just a few ways that you can optimize your YouTube channel for success. Now, if I've missed any or you know of any that I haven't mentioned, please do mention them in the comments below. If you can like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time.